Okay, so welcome everybody to this channel, Wisdom Conversations. Another guest, someone I just met recently. Uh, Her name is Ashleigh, and she has an interest and experience with some different types of paranormal phenomenon, ghosts, and the spirit world. So we're going to have a conversation today on some of those topics. So, welcome, Ashleigh. Thank you for joining me here.
Thanks, Joy. I appreciate it, and you're welcome.
So, ghosts and the spirit realm, is that's something that is something that excites you and is interesting to you?
Yeah. So ghosts, the spirit realm, the other side, beyond the veil, whatever you want to call it, is something that's definitely been an interest for me. Um, Pretty much since I was young, but just recently it has spiked in intensity. So
Wow, very cool. So both of us are a little bit involved in the Bashar community, and Um, I think my personal interest in spirits and ghosts kind of has to do with like wondering what, like, the metaphysics behind these experiences. Um, like from my perspective, as we are raising our consciousness and frequency, we start to be more perceptive to these types of things, like these spirits and ghosts. Um, so yeah, so my personal interest is like, um, what am I trying to say here? I'm really curious about the experiences around like maybe sensing or perceiving those types of things.
yeah, so I feel like with in the recent years, and I mean it's been going on for a while now, a lot of the collective consciousness has been raised, and I feel like especially like in the younger generations, we're feeling that more, which is personally like why I feel that there's a lot more sensitivity to supernatural things or spiritual things. And because of that, we are experiencing more people sensing these things around them and being more aware of them. I feel like our awareness, like our viewpoint has expanded a lot more. And so now people are curious about things that are happening. I see it a lot, especially on YouTube and just like social media in general, where there's more sightings and more just curiousness around it, which is really exciting for me.
Yeah, totally. A few things that you touched upon there. One thing is, um, you mentioned sensitivity, and I think there's something to be said about the quality of being sensitive, to be able to pick up these types of experiences that are more subtle in nature, I think. So it just seems like to me that sensitivity, or people that are more sensitive, more empathic, may have more an ability to tune into these types of experiences, connecting to the spiritual world, or maybe perceiving like a ghost or something. Um, and it sounds like also maybe the newer generations are maybe more inclined, do you think, to be perceiving these things, or just maybe it's in general the consciousness is becoming more aware of these things. It's increasing this type of sensing.
Yeah, so I feel like people who are naturally sensitive or empathic, those people may have it easier. I mean, of course, this is something that everybody can do, but they may have it easier as they're already sensitive. But some people may be a little too sensitive to the energies, so that it might feel overwhelming to them. So they almost have like the opposite scale effect of where they need to kind of bring the sensitivity down to a level that they can hear it clearly or
Hmm.
experience it in a way that's not like setting off their central nervous system in a flight or fight kind of way. Just as people who may not be as sensitive have the task of becoming more sensitive. So it's almost like finding that middle ground between the two almost different polarities there.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna be honest here. Me personally, I have fears around ghosts and stuff. Like I both ghosts and since we are mentioned a little bit about the Bashar, I still have fears around certain types of paranormal things like ETs, ghosts. They definitely still trigger my fight or flight. So um, um, yeah, it's an interesting thing to I think there's an element of fear around ghosts and spirits and ETs, I think. There we have both like a lot of excitement in these things, and there's also there can be realm where it brings up a lot of fear in people, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's completely understandable because we're working with concepts and energies that we can't perceive with our physical senses, or the senses that we use for physical reality. So, and a lot of us aren't used to using these additional senses or even processing them how we do process information that we get through, like seeing, like visual and auditory stimuli. So a lot of it is not knowing how to receive the information and what to do with the information. And then, of course, there's like our media and things that have kind of written this story about paranormal and ghost experiences, that do frame it in kind of a negative or a fear based viewpoint. And while I do think that that is unfortunate sometimes, I do feel like it does serve a purpose because it allows us to kind of explore those fears. And if we utilize things like horror movies and paranormal episodes and shows like that, if we use that to kind of explore our own fears, um, in tandem with that, we can go ahead and like work through them. So I do feel like it's a good tool to be used that way. Um, a lot of people do kind of stay in that fear sense, but it's neither like a wrong, it's neither a good nor bad thing. It's just where they are at that time. And I feel like everybody kind of works through things at their own time. So I wouldn't necessarily paint that as like a bad thing. Awareness around having the fear of it is really the first step to like working through that.
Right, very, very interesting. Thank you. Um, as you were talking, a question came to my mind that I felt like asking you. Um, do you think like ghosts are there like are some ghosts like actually like um more malicious or more just trying to scare people while other spirits are more friendly? Or it's like do we are there actually in some places like a haunted house or something, like maybe someone has gotten murdered or something, are is the ghost hanging around and um like angry and trying to scare people? Is that a real thing, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, so my perspective on that, and it really depends on the situation and the history behind it. I do believe there's this concept, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the energy gets almost recorded in that area because there's, I mean, like crystals and things like that. So just like minerals, those things can hold information. So I feel that there's some situations where the energy, the emotion was so intense that things do get stuck in that place.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't necessarily believe that it's the actual spirit of the person. In some cases, it may be, but I don't feel like it's the actual spirit of the person like stuck in that place.
Mhm.
Um, as for hauntings and stuff like that, if there's like poltergeist activity and things like that, um, I always go back to everything is a mirror for ourselves. So if
Like that.
we're experiencing fear, there may be an energy there that's reflecting that back to us. And then it just kind of goes in this like ping pong sort of fashion that just like amps up the energy. And there might be additional factors in play depending on like where the location is, if there's any like vortexes around, or if there's anything that's adding additional energy, like the geological makeup of the area or like the materials used in the house. I feel like that all has a like a factor to it. So it's really a case by case thing, but I don't feel like majority of the hauntings are the actual spirit of that person haunting that place.
Wow. I really love how you kind of explain that whole answer coming from, it feels like a really kind of grounded and even scientific explanation you gave there. Things being case by case basis, that was a great answer. Like, oh my God, I really appreciate your expertise in answering like that. Um, wow, very cool. Um, this other thing, it's kind of silly, but this other thing came into my mind too, like around this topic. So sometimes it's like we have this thing in movies where if a ghost is somehow trapped in this world, and I know you kind of said that it usually isn't the actual soul being stuck here in some kind of haunted trauma experience, but we often have this thing of, guide it to the light, like tell it to go to the light. Is that a real thing? Like, um, is there some truth behind that? Like, if a spirit may be lost and there's this guidance that usually comes up as like, guide it to go to the light, help it go to the light as to get to the other side or something. What are your thoughts on that? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify that I do believe that spirits could be earthbound in a sense, depending on the beliefs that they held prior or in in their physical life. If they believe that there's nothing else, or that they won't be able to pass on due to some kind of guilt, they may end up choosing to stay and almost in a sense be stuck there, but they can, someone will come and get them essentially. But so in some senses, they may have written into their life contract that they won't immediately pass on, that they will kind of linger. So again, it just depends on a case to case basis. As far as the white light scenario, I do believe that that is something that is experienced, because a lot of people that have had near death experiences mention the white light, and I have heard of experiences with mediums who help others cross over that they do bring up a white light. And I do think that the white light is a representation of that unconditional source love energy
Hmm.
that is almost more tempting than being stuck where they are, especially in a like in a spiritual form where you're no longer physical. Um, it is more tempting to kind of cross over because they can always come back. It's more so just like that initial like crossing over phase. But I mean, once they cross over, they can come back. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from, visiting us or coming through in whatever way it is that they do.
Whoa. Oh, very cool. I love your answers on this stuff. It sounds like you've definitely explored and got a lot of information and wisdom about this stuff. And I love your the way you're responding. It sounds really like it's coming from a not just the mystical side, but a very grounded, scientific, balanced side in your explanations too. So this is really cool to have you on here and share some of this information with us.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Yeah, I really do like to kind of bridge the two. I like to kind of meet in the middle when it comes to these kinds of topics and subjects, because I feel like there's truth in all of it. And if we can ground it into like science, even if it's just in theory, because there we can't like actually prove a lot of these things at this time. I do believe we're getting closer to making more of a tangible bridge between the two, but I do like to kind of just like point out that, hey, this concept's explained in spirituality, but it also sounds very similar to this concept that's explained in quantum physics or, just geological
Yeah.
kind of anomalies and things like that.
Very trippy. It sounds like there's so much different things that could be happening when we get into these subtle realms. There's um, like ghosts or potentially spirits or multi-dimensional entities. Like the realm of possibilities. And I know you keep saying case by case basis because they're which I love because there's probably so many potential possibilities out there of different um, paranormal things that are happening in subtle realms, which we humans aren't aware of.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe it's really great to say case by case basis because having there be so many possible experiences, especially now that we can like actually feel that our consciousness, our collective consciousness is raising. I feel like it gives us a very great almost practice to kind of touch into these energies because the spirit world, because we're always in spirit. So it's something that we're always connected to. So practicing with, connecting with like passed on loved ones or just receiving messages or just becoming more aware and more sensitive to these energies is a great practice for us because they're so close to our own frequency already that it's not too much of a jump to connect to them. And I do feel like it kind of sets us up for further down the line when we're connecting with interdimensional beings or aliens or whatever else there is to experience. It's almost like kind of a practice kind of experience for a lot of people, so that's exciting as well.
Yeah, definitely. And um, in the Bashar community right now, I just kind of tell everyone like one of the big things that's happening is this idea of open contact, where a lot of us are becoming more open to connecting with ETs or spirit energies. So the I love this idea of open contact itself. Open, it's like being able to perceive and connect openly with not just us between humans, but ghosts, spirits, ETs. I just love this energy we're moving into where we're kind of removing some of the fears and getting real understanding so we can connect to different types of energies in the universe, whether it's ET, other human beings from a different perspective, or different elements of the spirit realm, like spirit guides, ghosts. Like all this just feels really synchronistic and amazing to be a part of right now. This energy of open contact, open sharing. And I so love that you just kind of synchronistically wanted to collaborate with me on this and kind of I feel like part of what you're doing is bringing in the side of the spirits and the ghosts into this time of open contact, which is so great. And you mentioned earlier, it's like we got Halloween right around the corner here too, right? So
Yeah,
great topic for this time of the year as well.
yeah, for sure. And one thing I want to mention about open contact, because it came to my mind as you were speaking just now, was that while it does seem like we're experiencing open contact where we're moving towards connecting with other spiritual beings, aliens, and things like that, what I feel is a better way of thinking about it or a different way of thinking about it that works better for me is that we're falling back into contact because we never
Hmm.
have left contact. We're all spirits, we're all in the spirit realm, regardless of
Oh,
if we're a dog, a human, a dolphin, alien. We are all spirits. We all have that in common. So what I feel is a better analogy is that we're falling back into contact because we're in this human form, which has so many limitations to it, and not limitations in a bad way, just limitations in order to experience this physical reality. We are learning to dismantle some of those limitations or let go of some of those limiting beliefs in order to realize that we were always connected. We've always been connected. We will always be connected. So we're really falling back into contact with everything that's around us, which is really beautiful to think. And it does,
Oh,
for me, make it feel
oh
easier.
man.
It makes it feel more like surrendering to it and not that I have to work towards something or that I'm working against something. I'm really just like letting go of things and surrendering back into it.
Wow, I really loved how you said that, and I almost got goosebumps like when you said that because it's just like, yeah, like this is exciting. This is the goosebumps of exciting, you know.
Yeah, I had a little surge of emotion there that almost made me want to cry. But yeah,
It's so
it's definitely,
beautiful.
yeah, it is. It
love
is.
I love this because it's like it sounds like you're saying like the connection is our natural state. It's like we're
Oh yeah, of
falling
course.
back into our natural state of connectedness, connection, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because separation is just an illusion. So I mean, we couldn't not be connected. If we weren't connected, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't exist. So we're always connected, even if we feel like we're not connected. Something that Bashar says is that we are so connected that we are allowed to have the illusion that we're disconnected. So that's definitely something that ties into that idea of falling back into contact with everything.
I love that. And to be so it's like the way you're expressing it is we are already and always connected. But how amazing I think it is to really be aware of these connections. That's to um, to not just be connected, but to be aware of all these connections that we have, because that to me is that ecstatic feeling that maybe I have a past loved one that's I don't see anymore, but if I can bridge that gap and become aware that the connection is still there, it's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, that just feels good in my heart to just have the positive side of the awareness of how we are connected and how many connections we potentially have is probably just like mind blowing, right? In our
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
multi-dimensional nature and our spirit level different dimensions, there's probably all kinds of connections, old friends, past lives, if you know go with that idea, that are maybe even wanting like to reunite with us, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if that's something that's going on, then that's the reason that somebody probably stumbled upon this video or they're even interested in this topic or they're in the Bashar community is the feeling that there is additional connections and being ready to explore that. And I want to just make it clear that feeling disconnected is not a bad thing. It's not, there's no judgment here. Because the reason for that is to kind of narrow our focus to a specific theme that we're exploring in our life. And it may be a bigger theme with multiple little themes inside of it, but there's a reason for that feeling of not being connected or feeling like this earth is kind of the only quote unquote only place, um, because we kind of need to like shut everything out to like focus. But eventually we do get to the point where we're like, okay, I think I want to kind of open that up more and remove these blockages and like open the gate and allow that path to be more fluid again. Um, so I do just want to stress that nobody should feel bad if they feel disconnected. That there's a reason and a season for everything. So there's no judgment there.
Yeah, we certainly have an interesting experience in this earth incarnation of going through a very sense of separation and loneliness. I think is part of the trial or the transformational experience that we are going through. A lot of us here. Um, yeah, I know Bashar has mentions the earth is part of the theme. Main theme here is transforming darkness into light, and
Mm-hmm.
so Yeah, this is a really, I think, yeah, I think it's in this normal for the Earth experience to go through this level of extreme limitation, isolation. But when we break back out into the light, oh my God! And I think that it's like happening. Um, well, it is happening, you know. Um, so yeah, wow. I love these. I love this energy of just talking about this stuff. It's just, it's very exciting. For this
Yeah,
stuff
it's
to
really
just be
expansive.
opening up. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really expansive. It's definitely really exciting, and I do feel like I've been preparing for conversations like this and just like being in this realm for a very long time. So it's really nice to kind of start opening up about that, or kind of I guess being open about that. I guess that does play into open contact there in a different sort of sense, in the more physical human realm here. But yeah, I do feel like we're experiencing this raise and the shift in consciousness a lot faster. I do feel like the younger generations are definitely coming in less with less limitations, in part because of the work that others have already done in our world. We're allowing for this space where they don't need to come in with all these limitations because others have worked through it. So, I mean, if you kind of look across human history, there is this theme of like, of being more conscious. So I do feel like that's just increasing and it's just speeding up as time goes on for sure.
definitely. I totally agree with what you're saying. What an exciting time that we are experiencing here.
Yeah, it's
Ash,
definitely an exciting
Ashley,
time to be here.
this has been such a great. I really appreciate you for coming on here and sharing with this whole perspective and your expertise and opening this conversation up to this whole other portal that you kind of opened up here with collaborating me with this, bringing in the whole spirits, paranormal, um, energy here. So yeah, this has been a really great conversation, and I I will look forward to more potential collaborations with you in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely excited to make more collaborations. This was a really fun topic to start off with for sure.
Definitely. And yeah, so is there anything else you would like to share with everyone, or if you wanted to plug anything on your social media so people can find you, you're welcome to share that. And we can also put it on the description on the video too, if we can go that way as well.
Okay, yeah. So, any parting words? On this topic? I would say not to force yourself to connect and just kind of let it happen. Um, Things that might help if you're looking to connect more would be to connect more with yourself, and then you'll connect more with the subtle energies. So things like mindfulness, meditation, um, those kind of things would be helpful. As far as where anybody can find me, I have a website called withlovestarshine.com. I'll go ahead and put that in the description for you. But yeah, all my socials are connected there.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, totally. So yeah, we'll look forward to doing more of these if you like. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. And if anybody else wants to do a conversation like this with me, just DM me and um, we can do one of these. So thank you everybody for watching, and we'll stay tuned for more exciting topics on this show. Okay.